Black, Poetic G. Beautiful love always carries knowledge. Pay attention.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm King George. I'm the owner of T.Y.I Productions. I'm the curator of Black 31 magazine. Today, I'm here with another special guest. This brother is definitely a brother from the community. This brother is a phenomenal artist, and this brother is also vicious with the words. I mean, this brother's a wordsmith, and they call this brother Wes Lee the Wordsmith. So listen, let's give it up for Wes Lee the Wordsmith. Let's go.
Thank you.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So most importantly, right? I just want to know, who is Wesley the Wordsmith?
So I'm a wordsmith. I'm a leader in corporate arenas. I'm a poet. I'm a motivational speaker, and I can rap my ass off. I don't necessarily, you know how a lot of rappers like rep a city, right? Like wherever they from.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily like have a city that I rep because I've been so many different places.
yeah.
And I pour love into all of the places that I go, right? So I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. I lived in
Okay.
New York for a little bit as a child. I lived in Cobb County. I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Savannah, Georgia. I went to a HBCU. I went and graduated from Savannah State University with my bachelor's in computer
That's
science. And
heavy.
then now I'm down here. I'm in Broward County. I've been out here for about 3.5 years. So I live in Pembroke Pines. And so, I just really been all over South Florida where people hit me up. I go to West Palm Beach. I go down to Wynwood. I'm out here. I've been to some of the events out in Miami Gardens. I try to support wherever I can.
Hmm.
But I'm me, and me is a culmination of influences from all of the different places that I've been. You know what I mean? So I like to
Absolutely.
represent the craft, and my ethics and morals more than I like to represent the city. Because I'm going to pour into whatever city I'm in the way that I pour into things. You feel me?
Yes.
Firm believer in how you do something is how you do everything. You feel me? So
Yeah.
that's the way I wrap that up.
That's heavy. That's heavy, man. I like that, man. I like that. That's official. I definitely want to ask, right? Why is words important to you?
That's how we communicate, bro. Like, for me, I think that words are really beautiful because it's like everything starts with like sound, right? And we've been able to like capture sounds, right, in letters that we're able to identify across languages, right? Like
Yes.
an L is an L no matter what language you speak. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? It's just you might have different accents or different like ways that you pronounce it or like different ways that you string things together,
Yeah.
but an L is an L. And it's always funny when you learn like the etymology of a word and you start realizing like, oh, this is kind of the same way that you say this in English, low key. Like it helps you get context,
Yeah.
right, to
That's
help you learn other languages. So I think language, communication, etymology are like one of those things that brings us all together
yeah.
beyond race, beyond communal and cultural understanding, etc. It start with words, right?
Yeah.
And words are one of the most effective ways to convey our feelings clearly to
That's
one
true.
another, be it
That's
be it
true.
positive or negative.
Yes. Absolutely. 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 And
You know
and I
how
seen
hard it is to
you.
try to read body language, bro? Or you know how you be like, I'm not a mind reader. You gotta tell me. you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I seen you on a few poetry stages.
Hmm.
Um, uh, what is that feeling like that you get when you on stage?
So, I love it. I mean, it's exhilarating. It's one of those things where you get to go up there and be as vulnerable as possible because, especially with poetry, like poetry is different than music. I rap and I do the poetry.
Absolutely.
But poetry is what I use as like a coping mechanism, right? I started writing poetry after losing one of my younger siblings, and I'm the oldest of many. So, I was raising him. I was the supplementary parent. And when she passed away, I was still a kid myself. I was trying to like learn to understand who I was, first of all, let alone unpacking the complexity that is the human emotion,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So as we were grieving that, my parents was grieving, and they was so distraught by it because that's their baby. They didn't really have a lot of like space and awareness, right? To realize, dang, my son is really struggling right now too. So I had to kind of go through that by myself. And
Yeah.
I was struggling in school as a result of it. I was like struggling to like just understand what's going on. I was questioning my relationship with God. I had
Yeah.
to recalibrate my understanding of life as it was. You know what I mean? So I found poetry through school, and I realized that I was good at it, and it made me feel great. So the first poem that I wrote was about my little sister, and I ended up winning a lot of poetry competitions for it and different things like that.
Yes.
And it made me feel like being vulnerable was dope. You know what I'm saying? And so when you go up there on the stage and you're able to be vulnerable in a dope manner amongst other people who either one don't know the words to express how they're feeling effectively, but then
Yes.
you're doing it for them. You feel what I'm saying? Like you're
Yes.
doing that for them. So you
Absolutely.
watch people like invoke emotions. You watch them start crying. You watch them be like, "Yo, that piece touched me." And you didn't write it with them in mind. You didn't know you was gonna come out there and meet somebody that needed to hear that day. So it
Absolutely.
just it feels divine, and it feels like one of the highest levels of connection with others.
That's heavy. That's heavy. Um, I want to dive into because I'm listening to a lot and I'm understanding more and more about you. I want to know who are some of your favorite artists who inspire you?
Good question. I'm a really big, well, I won't even say really big fan. I'll say like they were very influential to me. Sorry. So like Common, Lauryn Hill, Rakim, Nas, obviously, Eminem in my early years was one of my first rap influences.
Yes.
Snoop Dogg, just from a respect standpoint, I just really respect how Snoop Dogg has maneuvered throughout his music career, and
Yes.
just how he just is unapologetically himself. Like Snoop Dogg is like the he's like the pinnacle of coolness. You know, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody
Absolutely.
wanna be close to Snoop Dogg, and when you think about it, like Snoop Dogg is one of those guys that can he can speak his mind without ruining relationships, and he also doesn't like create a lot of drama around his name as a result of speaking his mind. And you know that alone is a gift, because you know you got people like 50 Cent, or even some of the younger people out here that speak their mind in such a manner, and they don't have the respect that Snoop has, where they create dangerous situations for themselves. You know, so it go beyond the artistry. I look at artists based on their character, or at least what I can read about their character, right, from a distance. Younger artists, I love Mick Jenkins. Mick Jenkins is a MC. He is a lava spitter, and he also is unapologetically himself as well. So those are just to name a few.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Um, I got some fun questions for you, man. Some fun questions, and definitely about is diving back into that lane of the artistry, just to see where your mind at, and see which artists that you do may like more for their voice or their lyricism, or the matter of fact, basically the total package
Okay,
of the artist. So um Redman or Method Man?
I'm gonna take Method Man.
Okay, okay, I like that. I like that. I like that. Um uh uh, Nas or Guru?
I'm taking Nas.
Okay, okay. Um, uh, Tupac or DMX?
I'm taking Tupac.
Okay, okay. Um, uh,
I
um,
love DMX though. Don't get me wrong. That was one
DMX
of
is
the
at
first
work.
music that I was singing when I was young. Like I'm talking about, shouldn't even have been listening to him, and I know all the words. You feel me? But Pac is just more influential on on my artistry, and like voice. And then he was a poet too. I got his book, The Rose That Grew from the Concrete,
Concrete,
and
yes.
there's just like a lot of balance between, like, synergy between me and Pac.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pac is thorough. Um, Biggie Smalls or Big Pun?
Mm. So I'm gonna have to take pun.
I like it. I like it. I respect it. Listen, I respect it so much that this is the reason why I'm asking you these questions, because I was understanding your mind when you were saying a whole lot of things, and I'm like, okay. Um, um, Kanye West or Drake?
Kanye West.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
Drake. Just his moral compass don't align with mine. You feel me? It's not that he not dope, but I just feel like he don't make music for gentlemen like myself. And also some of his the way that he maneuvers is questionable to me.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Granted,
Um,
Kanye ain't in the clear, but you know, yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, now this is going to be not a hip hop one. It's going to be a tough one. The last one, I asked so many people this question, and either way it could go. Either way it could go. It's just a historical musical question. Um, um, artists also. Um, James Brown or Michael Jackson.
Hey, it is a hard one. It's a hard one, especially for me, because my granddad, my great grandfather, he was real influential on my life, and
Yeah,
James Brown was one of his favorites. He used to have this little James Brown, you know, the little animatronic joints where you press the button and they start dancing. I feel good. Da-da-da-da-da. I used to get in trouble for pressing the button all the time. So, you know, I have a certain type of nostalgic connection to James Brown. And I mean, Michael Jackson is the king of pop. So to be honest, I mean, Michael Jackson is undeniable in that sense. So I feel like there is a right answer, and I feel like it's Michael Jackson. But for me, I'm gonna have to say James Brown just because of that, the nostalgia attached to it.
that's heavy. That's heavy. I like that, brother. I like that. I like that. Um, let's dive back into some community level questions. So
Okay.
to dive back into the community and things like that, I want to know what's your take on all the gun violence that been plaguing our communities between the inner city youth. How do you feel?
I really hate gun violence in general. I'm not really a I think that it's one of those things where now you're forced to have a weapon to make sure that you get home safe. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what I have come to, because when I was young, my pops always told me, like, he used to have firearms, and he like, you know, I'm gonna get rid of them. And I'm like, why you get rid of them? He like, because I got kids in the house, you know, and I don't need them. Like, I'm not leading the lifestyle where I feel like I need these to protect me, because I'm just gonna move correct.
Yeah,
You feel what I'm saying? And he
absolutely.
was like, you never need a gun until you got one anyway. You know, as long as you don't have a weapon, you actually try to avoid situations where you need a weapon to even the playing field anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of random acts of gun violence that happen, and a lot of people like get anxious about that and be like, oh, you know, it could be me, it could be me, it could be me. Now they gotta go load up. Now they gotta go buy all these weapons. And the negative suggestion associated with holding a firearm in your hand, right, is
Yes,
the biggest struggle that we have as humanity, because people don't realize the power of negative suggestion, right? Like,
that's
I
true.
know even with me, like, I have a firearm, and I tell people all the time, I keep it so that I can get home safe, not so that you don't. You feel what I'm saying? Because I ain't in these people's head. I don't know what they got going on. It's a lot of different mental health issues going on out here that's undiagnosed. It's a lot of different ill-advised, you know, it's people that's mentoring people, or the big homies that's just advising people wrong. And
Yes,
sometimes it's a misinterpretation of the guidance that's coming from the big homies.
yes,
They taking information and they running with it and thinking that this is what it mean to be a man. This is what it mean to be hard, you know, and so on and so forth. So I know that kind of got a little long-winded, but I wanted to make sure that I brought all of those details to the forefront, right?
yes,
So I say all of that to say that I think that we have to start educating the youth on, like, hey, if you have a weapon, you got to understand why you got a weapon. You have to
yes,
understand what the right code of ethics is associated with owning a firearm, and if you got one and you shouldn't have one, you need to understand that it's wrong for you to have one. And if you do feel as though you need one for whatever reason, you need to be properly equipped with the knowledge and understand the rules for having one, because I think that that's something that be missing. It turns into the wild wild west because you got access to a gun, but you ain't read the handbook.
Absolutely.
You ain't read the handbook, and then you need to understand what in what times it's acceptable to even up the firearm, right? Not just because you emotional, because you upset, because somebody cut you off in traffic, because somebody texting your girl, whatever. And I think that that's an even bigger thing where people got to understand, like, hey, no matter what happens, life is gonna continue after this moment.
Yes.
For somebody, right? Whoever life don't get took, right? If everybody survived, life is gonna continue. So if you make a decision based out of a temporary emotion, your life is gonna continue after this. And I promise you that after that emotion leaves you, you're gonna be feeling stupid.
That's the truth.
You know, and then the second piece to that is that no matter what happens, nobody wins, because somebody that wasn't supposed to get hurt is gonna get hurt as a result of the decision you made. So we need to make sure that we're implementing de-escalation tactics.
Yes.
We need to make sure that we're teaching people how not to be targets of certain things that make you have to up the firearm, right? Like
Yes.
even me, I got a chain, but I tuck my chain when I go in certain places to protect you, because I know for me, if I up it, I'm going to have to use it because I'm
Yeah.
using it to protect myself.
Absolutely.
But I'm not walking around here all macho because I do have one. I actually want for nobody to know I got one. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's an
Absolutely.
absolute last resort, and only if somebody's life is truly in danger. But you got to be
Absolutely.
informed enough to have the discernment to understand which situations are true dangers and which ones are not.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so yeah.
Yes. So answer me this, right? Um, why do you feel as though that we have so many youth right now running towards death?
Because I think that a lot of parents are not doing a good job at making sure that their children feel safe in life. Like, they're not equipping them to feel safe in life. I think a lot of children are victims of fear mongering, whether it comes from an unrestricted access to information,
Yeah.
right? So like they're not, you know how when we was kids, I'm sure you could relate to this, like our
Yes.
parents would be like, hey, you can't watch this after 9 o'clock, you
Absolutely.
know, or hey, turn that
Absolutely.
off. Like, I used to get in trouble for watching the Boondocks, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, hey, I turn the
Absolutely.
TV on mute, I'm trying to sneak. And even though I was sneaking and I was still getting it, I did have the moral compass established to understand, like, this is wrong. I shouldn't be replicating these behaviors, and because I'm sneaking and watching this, y'all have my commitment that I will not replicate these things, right?
Yes.
And then also, like I said, understanding, like, you gotta make the children feel safe, because the only reason that people up the firearm is because they scared. I don't care how you translate it, how you try to make it say, no, bro, he tried me, he didn't. No, you were afraid, because you know how it was. If somebody try you, you go and you talk about throwing the bangers. If you got to throw the hands, right? If somebody try you, or you go and you check them and you have that conversation first and foremost, right? But
Yes.
if you feel like you got to up the hammer, it's because you're afraid. And like I said earlier on in the interview, how you do something is how you do everything. So if you walk around in fear, you're going to respond out of fear to every adversity that you encounter.
Yes.
So that's what it is. We got to do a better job at making sure our young men and women are feeling safe out here, that they're feeling properly equipped, that they're feeling informed, and we got to stop making them feel like the world is out to get them. Because to be honest, I'm a young black man myself, that I come from the hood. You know what I mean? My mother was in prison before. My pops was in jail before. You know, like I got, my grandma used to sell dope, like big time. You feel me? She done had a hit out on her before. You know, my house got the dope kicked in. That my uncle was incarcerated for a long time. You know, and I was 4 years old when all this is happening. FBI at the crib. You feel me? So I say all of that to say, like, but I'm a corporate engineering manager now. I got a degree in computer
That's
science. You know, like
what I'm
all of
talking
the
about.
limitations that they try to like scare us with, like, yeah, you know, this world is out to get you.
Yeah,
You're not safe. The
yeah,
government is trying to do this, and these people trying to do that and do that. We got to stop feeding everybody that and understand, like, yo, there is shady things that's going on. This is how you get around that. This is how you avoid that.
yeah.
There is different rules to the game right now. We may not agree with those rules, but when you go to somebody's house to play a game of Uno, you don't spend all day arguing with them about what the house rules are, do you?
Nah, not at all.
What you do? You ask them how you play over here. Y'all play stack. Y'all play chain. Y'all play train. Y'all do this. Y'all do that. And then they say, yeah, we do that. And you say, all right, cool. I'm finna bust y'all ass.
Yeah,
And so it's the same way with the government. It's the same way with life. You say, oh, y'all do this. Oh, I gotta submit this paperwork. Oh, my credit score gotta be a 750. Oh, all right, cool. I'm finna bust y'all ass.
yes. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Respect it so much, man. Respect it. So many gems, bro. Listen, listen. Y'all should be listening up. Listen, this brother is giving us so many gems right now. Um, mental health, right? To dive into mental health,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because mental health is serious. We don't speak on it too much in our communities, and it must be addressed. But also, I want to tie in how does poetry, right, tie into helping people who need that mental health that they need.
So, I got a saying, and it's art is my favorite coping mechanism. You feel what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because there's a lot of people that are not articulate in conversation that can write a hell of a poem and have you understanding them on a whole nother like frequency. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
I seen an
absolutely.
artist interview from a famous artist that I follow the other day, and he was like, they was like, what's your greatest weakness? And he said, I'm not an effective communicator. And they said, how is that possible, bro? Like, you're so articulate in your music. He said, yeah, people listen to my music and they can understand everything I'm feeling, but I cannot articulate myself without a beat. You know, and so the same thing with poetry. Like poetry, people use that as an escape from reality. They use that as an escape into themselves sometimes, right? They use it as a way to give their struggles life outside of their own mind. So a
Yeah.
lot of times when you take that, it's just like when you take a goal, you put it on paper, you make it real, right? Because now it's
Hmm.
not just in your mind, it's not constantly changing no more. Now it's concrete.
Yeah.
So when I'm going through something that's in my mind or in my heart and I'm having a hard time understanding that thing, if
Yes.
I put it on paper, now I'm looking at it outside of myself. It's not constantly changing no more. Now I understand what I'm dealing with. Now I can
Yes.
read it. Now I can feel it on cue. Now I can free myself from it because we're not the same entity anymore. So I think the healing process starts with writing it down.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then when you get to the point where you're comfortable enough with that experience to go and be naked on the stage, basically, because you're ripping your flesh off to show people your spirit. You feel me? Like, especially when you're
Absolutely.
talking about trauma, when you're talking about, you know, mental health issues or being violated or anything like that, because, you know, poetry get deep. When you're talking about
Absolutely.
those things on the stage in front of
Yes,
strangers,
it does.
when you talk about that in front of strangers on a stage with the light in your face,
Mm-hmm.
that's how you know you're really ready to do whatever it takes to help you get over that obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives people the opportunity to hear what you're going through. And God willing, they may be somebody that's equipped with resources to help you. You don't get help without having the conversation. And so tying this all back full circle into the mental health, into the community, into the young men, right? The gun violence, etc., etc. I really have a pet peeve, bro. I can't stand when black men be thinking that it's not cool to talk about what we be going through in our lives. You know, it's just like, man, nah, I ain't, you know, it ain't that big, man. I ain't, don't worry about it, I'll be alright. Nah, it's whatever, whatever. When it's like, yo, we could talk about what you going through in your relationship, right? And
Absolutely.
guess what? I probably been going through the same thing.
Yep.
I might have overcame it. Ask
Yeah.
those questions, and you'll be surprised where if you vulnerable enough to have that conversation, be it through your poetry or just a face-to-face discussion, how
Mm-hmm.
much freer that you'll feel and how much more help you'll get.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people feel like ain't nobody looking to help, and they're like, man, nobody cares. Well, you ain't never told nobody the real story. You ain't never been open enough to share. Cause you said that's not none of their business.
Yeah,
If you a member of a community, it is. It is. Think about the people that get them GoFundMe's going to open up a new restaurant or to help them get through school or whatever, and think about how they raise them record amounts of money. It's just through transparency.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now, now, I'm glad you said a lot of things, right? Now, I definitely got to ask this question, right? Um, why doesn't our dollars circulate in our black community? Why doesn't our dollars circulate between us? Why don't we support one another enough?
So I ain't gonna be the one that's saying it like I know the answer, right?
Yes,
Definitively. But what I'm gonna tell you is the answer that I feel near and dear to my heart and my personal experience
absolutely.
is that sometimes the people in our community will they'll give you poor customer service. They'll treat you like you owe them something,
Yes.
and the product will be lacking.
Mm,
I'll be honest. Like, you see that? Those three things.
mm,
I cannot stand the type of attitudes that I run into with dealing with certain black business owners that I have encountered. And unfortunately, the way that society works, the way our minds work, is that we stereotype.
yes.
We don't just stereotype other races, we stereotype our own. We stereotype animals. We stereotype children in the classroom. We stereotype babies.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? We're not exempt from that. Like, that's just something that's a part of the human design.
Yes.
So what happens is you run into a couple of bad experiences, you get traumatized, you operate out of a trauma response, you start stereotyping black business owners. Now you go into it like, I hope her attitude ain't stank, or oh, that's too expensive for that.
True.
But the people that you're not connected to, that have all this money, right, to go and start this, your designers, etc., guess what? They able to afford a customer service line. They got standards and ethics and training and rules, and you can complain, and when you complain, those people is gonna go and get reported and might lose their job. But when I
That's
go buy
true.
something from Shaquita, if she like, I'm like, hey, I didn't like the way that this thing was packaged. It didn't seem like it was with care. I think a couple of the pages was damaged, and she'd be like, oh well. Or she say no refunds. Oh, I'll give you another one at a discount. Like, nah, bro. Like, I gave you good money. My money wasn't damaged. You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
show love. And so that's one of the things that I've learned, like, through my corporate training. Right, I've been fortunate to get that, and the people that I've been mentored with through my matriculation in my HBCU is you got to treat everybody with respect, and you gotta, when you start a business, right? You gotta start a business because you want to provide service.
Yes.
You have to lead with service when
Yes.
you're selling things to people, period. And a lot of these people, they starting businesses out of desperation.
That's
They
true.
starting a business because they don't want to follow rules. So they think, oh, if I'm my own boss, I could do whatever I want.
Yep.
And that's not the right reason. That's not with the right intention that you should have to be starting a business.
Exactly.
And I think that goes back again. All this is full circle, bro. You're asking great questions because they all interconnected with everything we've been talking about.
Yes.
It goes back
Absolutely.
into the misinformation, the miseducation, the ill advisory, the lack of intentional conversations and guidance. Because there's not enough business development resources that are that awareness is brought to. Because I'm not going to say that they don't exist. I think they very do. They very much do. But
Yes.
awareness is not being brought to those. People say they want to start a business. The first thing somebody gonna say is, "Oh, you need to get an LLC." But they're not gonna say, "Hey, I know a business coach and a program. I think they charge this much a month, and they'll teach you how to start your LLC. They'll teach you about customer service. They'll teach you best management practices, and they'll even help you get it set up so that you can get funding."
Yes.
We're not having those conversations.
That's
People
true.
finding that information through IG, through a targeted ad based on the cookies, right? The secret
Absolutely.
FBI agents, where somebody's selling a course and that's how they became a millionaire, right? But they're not really successful with the business and the funding. We need to have more. We need to bring more awareness to those people that's in the community that's really doing it right. You know what I'm saying? So, since I've been out here, one of the brands that I really like just watching, I haven't had a chance to be out and hang out with them yet, but Poetry Potluck. I
Okay.
feel like they doing their business the right way. I see them participating in Giving Tuesday, raising money. They have a mission, they have a purpose. They're looking to service the community.
Yes.
And I always see them give love and see them receive that love with great reciprocity. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's what a business is supposed to be like. So I would love to see other organizations that are akin to that be, hosting panels and it get the proper marketing push that it needs so that people can be exposed to that within our community. You feel me?
Yes.
And not be deterred because there's a price tag on it.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Man, that's the truth. Man, let's go. Man. Jewels. Um, man. What advice do you have for young brothers growing up right now that they are in the field of being an artist? They could possibly be poets, but what is everything they need to do to be successful? What's everything that they need to do to be most importantly good men in this time right now? Y'all know this is a crazy time right now. In this time, what's everything they need to know?
Let me charge my response real quick, because that's a heavy question, brother. You've been leading the way and showing the light through this conversation by asking phenomenal questions. I could tell that you are seeking to extract as much value as you can from these interactions, and
Absolutely.
so I really appreciate that, because that's the type of people that I have synchronicity with, and that I want to continue to work with in any capacity I can. So
Okay.
I appreciate that. So let me
Absolutely.
forward this response.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, I say it like this: artist development is extremely important. But you become a better artist through personal development first. You become a better artist the better that you know yourself. So don't try to use your like become a rapper because it's cool and because you're trying to find yourself. Find
Yes.
yourself and then be an artist because you know who you are,
Yes.
right? Understand what your intent is. Why are you rapping? And don't align it with somebody else's story.
Yeah.
Don't use it as the same cliche like, oh, I'm trying to get out the hood, I'm trying to do this.
Yeah.
Figure out what really is driving you, right?
Yes.
And be in as many spaces with artists that you look up to as you possibly can and ask questions. Do whatever
Yeah.
it's gonna take to get next to those people, because I promise you, the stuff in TikTok, the stuff in Instagram is gonna have you chasing your tail, because there's a lot of information out there that we have access to that is not effective in the context of our individual artistry
Yeah.
or our lives, right? So, you go listen to Russ, right? And Russ be like, oh, all you gotta do is go get $100,000 loan from the bank, and then you can fund your own self like how the labels do it. And then you can do this and do that. Then you gotta drop one song every month for 12 months, and then you put it on SoundCloud and blah 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 blah. And then they're like, oh, all I gotta do is drop 12 songs and go get $100,000 loan, and I could do that, right? But how many people are even in a position to go get $100,000 loan? How
Absolutely.
many people know how to use that loan to actually get an ROI as opposed to use that loan just to boost numbers, right? How many people actually are gonna benefit from dropping a song every month without actually building a fan base first? Blah blah blah, right? Like, I could really get into the
Yes.
weeds of that, but what I'm saying is, when you know who you are, you know what information applies to you, and then
Yeah.
you know how to apply that information into your story or path for success. And that's what you got to figure out. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So understand yourself before you make any major moves, for real. And go get therapy. Go get counseling. Go and if they can diagnose you, go get diagnosed. It's not, being diagnosed with anything is not bad. I think all of us is on a spectrum somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of us got quirks. all of us got some semblance of neurodivergence, because neurodivergence just simply means we all think differently. Our synapses don't fire the same,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we got to peel back the layers of fear associated with being identified as having a diagnosis, right?
Yes.
Because that'll help us get to what we need to get to, right? To help us figure out ourselves.
Yes.
So start dealing with your trauma as early as possible. That's another thing, right? You got to peel
Yes.
those layers back, because all the compartmentalization, all the suppression of different things, it'll bleed over into everything that you do, right?
Yes.
And it'll also bleed over into your ability to understand the game that people are trying to put you on. You get snappy when somebody trying to tell you some real shit because you hurt.
Yes.
You hurt. We
Absolutely.
gotta heal, bro, and we gotta seek to heal each other. So I hope that was clear and there was enough of that made sense. But
It
you
was.
know, know yourself first. Get in the right rooms with artists that you respect. Ask questions. Understand that unless you are committing to doing music as a hobby, then you're doing it as a business and you should treat it as such, right? And there's a whole bunch of game that can come with just saying I want to do music as a business, right? You
Yeah.
can start an LLC for your, or a sole proprietorship for your artist name, and you can use any expenses that you spend on your music as tax write-offs. You can get business credit cards to fund your music art, your artistry, and blah blah blah. And I'll tell you, I'm here to put people on as much game as I got, right? And I'm still seeking to learn. So I'm gonna throw that out there to the community out here. If there's any people that are well established as artists and that's been really successful that's gonna see this, hey, I need me some more mentors. You feel me?
I hear that. I hear that. I hear that. That's heavy. That's heavy. See, see what I got all out of all of that, right? And this is a lesson for young children. They should be watching this, and even adults. Is that this brother right here is still working, still managing to seek out more work as he's working. So he's still looking for more development. Even if he's up here, he's still looking for more development to go higher, to get even greater. So that means, like, you are considering yourself forever a student, and when you forever a student,
Yes.
when you forever a student, you would naturally become a teacher. You ain't even got to say you're a teacher. I remember I said something one time before. I said the greatest teacher is the one who listens before they speak. And I believe you one of those brothers. So listen, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. I know I said the last question was the last one but not least, but I have one more for you. And it's just a simple question, but man, most importantly, what do you love most about yourself?
I love my lust for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I love that. I love to learn. There's people that don't like to learn, bro. It's people that feel like they got to do it all by themselves. I love that I love to learn, because that makes me very community oriented, because I can't learn. I learn way more from everybody around me than I could possibly learn by sitting by myself trying to make my brain. I think I can. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
That's heavy. That's heavy. That, man, give it up for Wesley the Wordsmith. Let's go, Wesley. Man, where can the people find you at?
Wesley the Wordsmith everywhere. That's WESLEE the Wordsmith. You can type it in Google, Spotify, Apple Music. Write it in your journal. I might pop up at your crib, and put you on some game. Like, literally, my social handles is all identical, right? Just to make it easy to find me. So Wesley the Wordsmith. I'm working on some new music. I'm actually working on getting a feature from Mick Jenkins right now. So me and my brother DJ in Harmonics is working on producing a record that Mick Jenkins will have a verse on. So I'm working, bro, and I'm excited because that's like a dream come true for me. So y'all be on the lookout for that. And a lot of my music does address coping and different mental health situations and just life stuff. So y'all tap in with me for that too.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, listen, y'all. Wesley the Wordsmith. We just finished up a phenomenal interview with Wesley, the Wordsmith. Listen, go follow Wesley, the Wordsmith. And each and every week, y'all make sure y'all go follow Black 31 Magazine. This brother will be in the next edition of Black 31 Magazine. We could have your favorite poet. We could have your favorite artist. We could have your favorite mental health advocate. We could have the little girl down the street with the lemonade stand, or it could be you. So
Yeah.
we are the home of the champion, the platform of truth, and the place where we uplift man, woman, and child. Peace and love, y'all. One.
Blessings. Thank you, brother. Peace.
No problem, man. Appreciate you, brother.
During these times, we need more education, not incarceration, to elevate from negativity at all costs. Knowledge and power. Remember this game spilled, given. Embrace it. T.Y.I, Poetic G. Peace and love, one. I love it.